Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Accomplished Woman with Cathy Mendell, the show for accomplished women who are serious about their retirement. My name is Kristin Oakley. I'm your host, and joining me is Cathy Mendell. She is the founder and president of Theia Financial. And if you have ever wondered what your tax bill is going to be in retirement, we're going to dive deeply into that today. It can be one of the most important things to consider as you're engaging in retirement planning, and it's something that every accomplished woman needs to be very aware of. So, Cathy, my friend, I'm excited to have this conversation with you. How are you?
It's so good to see you again, and it's so good to be here and talk with our entire audience who are all sitting on the edge of their seats, of course, because we're going to talk about taxes, right?
I know. Don't change the channel.
Right.
We promise.
Stay put. We'll make it fun.
Exactly. We definitely will. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, this is such an important piece of anyone's retirement plan. You know, the reality is a lot of folks think they're going to be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. That's not necessarily the case. Taxes can be incredibly horrific and complex. The rules are always changing. So we need to talk about this today, Cathy, because it can really prevent people from keeping a huge chunk of their hard-earned money.
Exactly. And you know something that's interesting about this is that most women saving for retirement, they're doing it through work.
Yes.
So their workplace plans are 401k or 403b or something of that nature. They're putting money in.
Yep.
And they're accumulating a number, whatever that number is at the back of their mind that says, hey, I need to get to this number to retire, doing everything they can. My dad used to say, put your back into it, right? That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
and they're doing the right thing.
Right.
However, one thing that happens is when you retire, you have different sources of income.
Yes.
And if you haven't done proactive tax planning, it could be a shock. It could actually become your biggest bill. And so that's what we're going to talk about today is you're going to be moving away from retirement. You have very important decisions to make. And so though understanding the role that tax planning has in your retirement plans is our topic today.
And we should establish from the beginning that tax preparation is very different from strategic tax planning. A lot of folks are very familiar with tax preparation, that magic day in April when all of us have to have our taxes in, and we work with CPAs to do that. But what we're talking about today is engaging in proactive strategic tax planning. Talk a little bit about the difference between the two.
Oh, totally. Well, it's like the difference between driving looking through the windshield or looking through the rearview mirror. The rearview mirror is taking everything into your tax preparer, they put it all together, and they tell you what you owe. Thinking ahead, looking at what will my sources of income be, okay? What are the tax consequences of that?
Right.
Could I do this differently and pay less taxes? It's looking ahead, not behind. So we're looking at making a plan for taxes, making a plan for withdrawals, making a plan for income and investments, and really taking everything into account in order to be the most efficient that we can with your taxes. And it's kind of corny, to be honest with you, because I really love talking about this. I mean, as I'm helping my clients with planning, and that's really what we do as Theia Financial, we're experts in putting together income plans for our clients that will see them through retirement, get them there, see them there, something that will make their retirement secure and happy and fun. You just have to know everything about it. This is not something that you can just say, well, I've got this money and I'm just going to take a withdrawal and hope for the best. The thing is that most people, they want to talk about returns. They talk a lot about returns, but that's a very big unknown, right?
Right. It's not guaranteed at all.
There's no guarantees on that. You have all kinds of things that can happen. Just in the last, 20 years, we've seen really incredible things happen that you could never have predicted.
Right.
You had 9/11, you had Enron, you had 2008 with the housing market.
COVID is still fresh on everyone's
minds. All of that had an impact, okay?
Yeah.
But taxes are known knowns.
Yes.
We know what the tax brackets are. We know what the penalties are on Medicare premiums if we don't plan it right. We know all that. It's a known. So if you're working with somebody and all they want to do is talk to you about returns and show you charts and graphs about returns, you could be missing out. You could be missing out on a lot of returns you're counting on the market to give you when we could be giving it to you through tax savings.
Right, and it's important to presence too that if you don't pay attention to what your potential tax liability could be in retirement, well, guess what? That means that that's less money that you're going to be able to keep, less of your hard-earned money, and we don't want you paying any more to the IRS than you are legally required to pay, and yet so many people fall prey because they don't understand engaging in the strategic tax planning. They don't realize that there are strategies that can be done to lower their tax liability. So that's why we need to talk about it.
Well, here's an observation that I've made, is that when you're working, your only job is to accumulate resources so that you can, at some point in your life, retire. Right? Because if it's to be, it's up to me. You're the one that has to save the money. The guaranteed sources of income that we have, Social Security, maybe you have a pension, doesn't usually cover the cost of living.
Right.
So you have to make up the difference. So that's your job. While you're working, you're not thinking about taxes in retirement, okay? Well, maybe you should be, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but you're thinking about accumulating income, you're thinking savings.
Growing your wealth, right?
Growing your wealth.
Yep.
But then the day happens. I call it the great equalizer. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter how many letters behind your name. It doesn't matter what your occupation is. We all walk into this space with an unknown. Okay, I've got these savings. How do I turn it into income?
Right.
All right. So I want to give you an example of the power of tax planning. Yes. So I have a client, Jennifer, and she retired young. And she had amassed quite a savings bucket. She had about 1.8 million, and about over 1.2 million was in her 401k.
Okay.
So she, I mean, truly, this girl had really done a good job putting her resources together.
For sure.
So she retires and she rolls her money out, all except what she was going to draw from her 401k while she's working. And in her pool of resources, she had this large IRA. And she had a Roth IRA of almost 500,000.
Wow,
which I haven't seen very many of those.
No.
Usually they're like 37,000. You know?
Right. Yep.
And then she had a decent supply of cash. So her advisor recommended to her that she take 95,000, which is what she wanted, what she had to gross it up to pay the taxes, but that's what she needed in income. It wasn't extravagant. She only needed like $5,500 a month. It wasn't a lot.
Right.
So I'm looking at this and I said, well, on your Roth, don't you have a cost basis on your Roth that you can withdraw that anytime? You can always take out what you put in.
Right.
Just can't take out the growth.
Yeah.
And so her taxes on that amount was $18,000 on that $95,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Now she's going to have to do that for 4 years. So 18 times 4 is 72,000. That's what she was going to be paying in taxes.
Just in taxes alone.
Only taxes.
Right.
So look at how much of that hard-earned money that she put in week after week and month after month, and how long did it take her to save 72,000? And it's going to go out in taxes. Okay.
Right.
So we're putting together an actual plan for her, not just some investments. And I said, let's change this up a little bit. Let's rearrange how you're going to take income.
Right.
Let's drop the withdrawal from the pre-tax accounts to 50,000, and let's take some out of the Roth and see what that does. So it lowered her taxes instead of 18,000 a year. Let me get the number to 5,900.
Wow, it's amazing.
$13,000 less. Just thinking about taxes. So if you multiply that by 4,
right,
you have 72,000 in taxes, or you have 23,000 in taxes. There's a $48,000 difference here.
That's so frightening that someone could unknowingly pay that without even realizing that they don't have to. And it was all came down to the withdrawal strategy that had been recommended to her, right?
Well, and here's the reason why. She says, well, so there's a rule of thumb in the financial industry that says, hey, if you have a Roth, you take all of your pre-tax accounts and you use those up first, and then you use your Roth last.
And why is that recommended typically?
It doesn't make any sense. No. You take some out of the taxable, you take some out of the Roth, you take some out of your tax accounts or your taxable gains accounts, you combine all that together and you work to get your tax bracket as low as possible. Why would you not do that? So by utilizing just the tax laws, by just being familiar with them, and of course, like I said, I get really turned on about all this stuff.
Yes, we both get charged up.
Yes. No, because I don't like people feeling the stress.
Yes.
I mean, if you were to compound that, if she were to actually use up that $1 million before she touched her Roth, how much of that would be gone?
Right. And once it's gone, it's gone.
you're giving it away.
Yes.
You don't need to give it away. So when I think about all of this, what I would say is that a rule of thumb to use your Roth last, that rule of thumb was going to cost her $48,000. Wow. Now that advisor goes home at night and I'm not dissing him, okay? Probably it didn't cross his mind, but it depends on what kind of planning you're doing. If you're doing income planning and investment plans that support your income plan, and you're doing tax planning and healthcare planning and estate planning, if that's part of your process, then it would have crossed your mind.
Right.
You would have ran the numbers, you would have known. So in the whole scheme of things, a financial plan needs to take into account the tax implications of your withdrawals.
Absolutely. And I know this is something you're so passionate about helping accomplished women do. And so if someone's watching right now and going, well, gosh, I've never even thought about this, or maybe you're already working with another financial advisor and they haven't had these kinds of conversations, what would you say to that individual?
Well, what I would say is that the thing that we're known for at Theia Financial is helping our clients develop a solid plan, a plan for income, a plan for taxes, a plan for investments, a plan for estate planning, a plan for healthcare, to round it all out. It's not just charts and graphs that says, oh, I'll run a Monte Carlo simulation, and if everything goes the way this says it's going to go, you're going to be fine for life, and we'll just take that as the gospel, and that's the end of it. That's not how it actually works. So if you're looking at that and you're saying, man, I think I need to get involved with this. I need to be more engaged in the process of really understanding my money. I'm going to be making life changes here. Maybe you're thinking about leaving a job and you're saying to yourself, okay, I know I have this money, but I'm not sure how to turn this money into retirement income, nor do I know anything about what Cathy's talking about. So that's what we do. That's what we do every single day. And we would love to do that for you.
Cathy, thank you. We have so much more to get into, but if you would like Cathy's help and the team of Theia Financial to help you, what she is offering today is a complimentary 30-minute Zoom call. This is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how they can help and serve you. To take advantage of this opportunity, all you need to do is call that number on the bottom of your screen, 866-724-4927. Or if you'd rather not talk to someone right now, but you do have your smartphone handy, you can simply pull it out. If you open up that camera app, you can point, click, and scan that QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary Zoom call that way as well. More on this important discussion regarding your tax bill in retirement right after this.
As your life unfolds, sometimes you don't see the future. You're in the moment, you're doing what you do in the moment, right? As an example, we have an orphanage in Kenya. Who would have ever dreamed we would do that? We didn't set out to do that. It happened. Worked for the Tupperware Corporation world headquarters for about 20 years. And one day I thought, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be inside of what's happening in families. I want to be in people's lives. I decided to open a financial firm that is not geographically constrained, that anyone can get involved with, that was really focused on women. Because I feel like women have a little different priority. They see money a little differently than a lot of men do. Very accomplished women, very capable. They've been managing money their whole life. They understand the need to save, and they have saved money, and they have put time in to make sure they have a future retirement that works. They know that they need to reach out, and they know they need to work with a company that really can help them move forward securely. And that's our passion. That's what we're doing.
Welcome back to The Accomplished Woman with Cathy Mendell. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, and Cathy and I today are discussing your tax bill in retirement and why it is so critical to make sure that you plan for taxes in retirement. You know, Cathy, in my work as a financial educator, I have seen what a detriment it can be for folks to not pay attention to this. And nothing is more tragic when I think, you know, a lot of folks think $1 million is their magic number. Oh, if I just have $1 million saved up for retirement, I'm going to be fine. But what a lot of people don't realize is if you have accumulated $1 million, guess what? It's not all yours. a huge chunk of that is going to go to federal and oftentimes state tax as well. And not every state has the same tax laws. So I know this is something that you keep on top of for your clients because you work with women all throughout the U.S. So talk about that and talk about some of the things that people need to be aware of.
Well, truly, it's really interesting as we're working with clients from different states, because one of the things we do is we dive into how does that state handle retirement income.
Right.
Now, truthfully, there's some states that don't tax retirement income, even though they have a state tax.
Right.
They don't tax retirement income. Hello.
Can I move there, right?
Yes. In fact, some of the states, there's this one, I think it's Vermont, it gives you a $20,000 credit on retirement income.
Wow.
Okay, so why don't I take that $20,000 and do a Roth conversion, because I'm not going to get taxed on it, on my state side anyway.
Right.
I mean, if you know the laws and if you know where to find them, there's a lot of planning that can be done. That same example I just used with Jennifer, I ran that with different states.
Okay.
So the least expensive was Texas.
Interesting.
Instead of $72,000, it was $52,000.
That's a big jump.
That's a big jump because of their tax laws.
Right.
Okay. The next one was Vermont, and I just ran it on a few of them. Was $67,180. Wow. Okay. Now, the state I happen to live in, Oregon, was the most expensive.
Oh my gosh.
It was higher than California. I was so surprised. It was $81,200.
Interesting.
So, wow, talk about, you know, if you live in Texas, I mean, Texas, Florida, a lot of those states with it, they're so friendly towards retirees.
Right.
And you can see it in the numbers when you know, they say they're friendly towards retirees. I don't think people always know why. Here's part of the reason why.
Proof is in the numbers, right?
So if I live in Texas and I take a withdrawal, and of course, if I didn't know about tax planning, or if I live in Oregon, it would cost me $30,000 a year more to live in Oregon.
Wow. I mean, that just puts it in perspective right there.
Right there, right.
So clearly, again, it depends on where you live, but this is why you have to be on the ball with this and on top of it. And we know that legislatively, we all deal with legislative risk. Tax laws are always changing, but so many women are playing a game that they've never been given the rule book to. And that's why I'm so grateful that you are so passionate about helping women engage in this proactive tax planning.
You know, I was thinking about you've always heard people talk about their why, right? Why do you do this?
Yes.
Well, I was thinking about that this week because I meet with a large amount of people every week on Zoom, and I get to meet people from every walk of life. But I was thinking about, prior to opening my firm, I was in corporate finance. Now that's a whole other thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
When I moved to work with individuals, part of the impetus that caused me to do that was something that happened to my dad. So my dad was an entrepreneur. In fact, everyone in my family is an entrepreneur. My dad had a business, my mother had a business, I am a business owner. My two sisters both have businesses currently. My husband owns a business. Two out of three sons have been business owners. It's kind of contagious, you know?
Right.
But the thing the overwhelming piece to that was an attitude that I grew up with that said, if it's to be, it's up to me. Okay? You can't be a successful business owner if you don't feel that way.
Right.
You can't blame other people. If your business doesn't make it, it's up to you, right?
On you, right?
Well, there's another time that this is also true, and that's retirement. If it's to be, it's up to me. You have to have saved the money. But here's the thing that I want to say about what happened with my dad. My dad did this well. He did this well. He accumulated assets. When he and my mother retired, they had a nice nest egg. They had rental properties for income. That was in 1999. Wow. The first 3 years of his retirement, the market went down 43%. You can be doing everything right. If you don't have a good plan, it can completely fall apart.
Oh, for sure. Okay. And quickly, too.
When you think about tax planning as a piece of that, in fact, there's a little illustration I want to show you on planning. If there's a slide. But it has to do with how people go into retirement with their plans. What's the percentage of people that have got this? Okay. This was done by the Alliance for Lifetime Income, and this was their statistics. 25% of people don't have any kind of a plan. Now, these are people that are going to be retiring in the next year.
Within the next year.
Within the next year.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean they don't have savings.
Right.
They just don't have a plan, okay? 35% have a set of goals or a direction in mind, but it's not a well-developed plan. 20% have a general financial plan, but they don't feel it goes deep enough. 20% have nailed it. So if you look at that and you say 20% of the people that are the baby boomer generation that's moving into retirement, they don't have this nailed.
Right.
So you go to a CPA and they do your taxes, and you think, okay, they did my tax. One lady said to me, well, shouldn't my CPA have told me this? And I thought, well, they're busy and they're doing taxes.
And they're looking, again, as we said earlier, in the rear view mirror.
What you've done.
They're looking at what you owe for last year. They're not looking ahead strategically 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
Who should be doing this? The person doing this is the one that should be the person that's crafting out a plan to deal with your income for life that you know you're not going to run out. It's going to have an investment plan to support the income. It's going to deal with the tax questions. It's going to look at your legacy and what have you done and what still needs to be done. And it's going to help you understand your responsibility in your health care. That's the way I feel about planning, and that's what we do at Theia Financial.
So I know you're offering this 30-minute complimentary Zoom call. What can a woman expect when she calls in today and gets on your calendar to have that important meeting?
Yeah, so it's really, honestly, it's just such a fun call. We're just going to learn about you. We're going to learn about your goals and your dreams and your concerns, and we're going to talk about what you want retirement to look like, and, well, how much income are you going to need, and what's going to happen with your how much longer do you want to work, and when would you like to retire? We're just going to get all the details. We're just going to have fun together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set up a time, if it makes sense, to talk again. And on that second conversation, we'll dig into your numbers. We're going to look at how can you get from where you are today to transition so that you can have the same sense of confidence in your future as you have in your current job. You go to work every day and you know what you're doing. You move into retirement and you don't know what you're doing. There's a disconnect there that needs to be fixed. Okay, so that's what you can expect. And as we move through this process, our goal is to create a plan, implement the plan, and stand beside you as you go through your retirement years.
It's such a beautiful gift that you're able to offer women. And I can say from firsthand experience, I've had the pleasure of referring several of my friends to Cathy, and I always get a voice call afterwards. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. So we are excited for more of you to get to connect with her as well. If you would like to take advantage and receive this complimentary 30-minute Zoom call, maybe you have tax questions or questions about any aspect of your retirement planning, the team of Theia Financial would love to help and serve you. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. That number to call is 866-724-4927, or you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. More with Cathy Mendell right after this.
We've all experienced those coulda, shoulda, woulda moments. When it comes to retirement, there are no do-overs. At Theia Financial, we understand the importance of retirement planning and turning your savings into reliable income you can count on. Retirement is more than just financial security. It's about spending quality time with your loved ones, embracing your creativity and pursuing your life's passions, and discovering the countless marvels that make our world a truly remarkable place. With a belief in the power of preparation, we work with accomplished women to design personalized plans. Don't leave retirement planning up to chance. Take control of your financial future and turn your retirement dreams into a long-lasting reality. Contact us today to schedule your free consultation.
Well, welcome back to The Accomplished Woman with Cathy Mendell. I'm your host, Kristin Oakley, and Cathy and I are having a lively discussion today about helping you lower your tax bill in retirement. And I know, Cathy, one of the challenges that all modern retirees are facing today is that the bulk of the wealth that has been accumulated for most Americans are in tax-deferred accounts. Your workplace retirement plan, 401k, 403b, traditional IRAs. But a lot of folks are entering retirement with 3 types of accounts. So let's talk about those because, again, creating this income plan, creating the withdrawal strategy can have a significant impact on what your tax liability will be.
Exactly. You have to have the right tools to work with in order to get your taxes, in order to have any tax control, let me put it that way. So tax-deferred accounts would be any workplace plan where you've been making contributions, you usually get a match. Here's an actionable step I want you all to take, okay? If you are not yet retired, I want you to switch your contributions that you're making to Roth. Now, you're not going to get the tax write-off this year when you do it. I'm sorry about that. But it will have compound effect, as we've just talked about with Jennifer. It's going to have a compound effect once you do retire. If you have a Roth, keep building it. What you don't want to do is go into retirement with only one type of money, all tax deferred, because now it is what it is. No one can help you.
Right.
Whatever you withdraw, it's going to be taxed, and it doesn't matter as time goes by and as that pool grows, the taxes just get bigger and bigger and bigger. It just eats up more and more and more of the resources that you work so hard to save.
Right.
The second thing is build your Roth and then build your after-tax money. I don't care if you save it in a CD or if you have it invested where you get taxed on dividends and yield and capital gains, but the principal is tax-free. So you can take withdrawals strategically from that. So if you build your Roth, build this other pool, you want 3 distinct pools of money that you can have that you can take withdrawals from. That is the most tax efficient, and then of course you have to work with us.
Right.
You know?
And you guide someone through that whole process.
We have the formulas.
Yes.
We'll help you figure this out, okay?
Yeah.
But that gives you the tools that you need in order to go into retirement with a tax-friendly portfolio design.
And again, there's so much that goes into this. I think a lot of folks just think, well, I've saved up this amount of money, I hope I'll be okay in retirement, right? But with a written retirement income plan, you can walk women through and say, okay, you have this money in these different kinds of accounts. This is how much to withdraw from which accounts when. I mean, there's so much that goes into this planning that's necessary.
There is, and the end result is that you have enough money to live carefree, to live without worry about running out, and know that your money will last. There's 2 things that have to be. If you're going to go into retirement, you can't possibly go into retirement and worry that if I take withdrawals, if I take that vacation, if we help our kids through college, I might run out of money. That's no way to live. You can't live like that. So what you want to do is you want to have a plan that really wraps its arms around your happiness with income and not giving away money to any entity, and especially to the IRS that you didn't have to give.
Exactly. We want you to pay less to the IRS. We don't want you to pay any more than what you are legally required to pay. And Cathy, that's why I'm so grateful that you are available and willing to help anyone who reaches out.
Thank you.
Yes, always a joy to be with you. And if you would like some help with this, listen, we know this can be very overwhelming. Maybe we've raised some points today that you haven't necessarily heard or thought of before. The good news is, while it might be new to you, it's not new to Cathy and the team of Theia Financial. They would love to help and serve you. Simply call 866-724-4927 to grab a spot on her calendar to receive your very own complimentary Zoom call. We appreciate you watching. We look forward to being back with you next time.